Good day and welcome to Your Right on Trust TV, the program where we break down the law in simple terms so you can better understand and defend your rights. I am Hauwa Usman, your host, and today we will be talking about a deeply important subject: gender-based violence and sexual offenses. This is not just a legal issue, it is a human rights issue. Violence against women, men, and children simply because of their gender is unacceptable, and the law says so too. Gender-based violence, or GBV, refers to harmful acts directed at individuals based on their gender. It includes physical abuse, such as beating and assault, sexual violence, including rape, sexual assault, and harassment, emotional abuse, like verbal threats and intimidation, or even economic rights. For example, withholding financial support or control a partner. In many cases, women and girls are the primary victims, but men, boys, and persons with disabilities can also be affected. To help us understand these rights and the legal remedies available, I am joined by Barrister Rabiah Abubakar Liman, a lawyer, a human and women rights advocate. You're welcome, Barrister Rabiah.
Thank you very much.
So, before we begin today's discussion, we took to the street to understand what some Nigerians are saying about this particular right and what they understand by it.
Gender-based offenses are offenses that are carried out on somebody based on gender stereotyping. For me, that's what I understand by it.
A man can violate his wife and the wife can violate the husband. Yeah, it depends on the way, everything is God did. It's God did. So if there's no much understanding there, it may be that maybe the man may be more powerful than the lady. You understand? So the man can, take on the lady.
Welcome back. So, Barrister Rabiah, what is gender-based violence and what does the law say about this kind of offenses?
Okay. First and foremost, I would like to say I'm happy to be here to discuss on this particular topic. Gender-based violence, it's a violence against individual or person. And this could include physical, psychological, emotional, or sexual. Laws that talks about it, basically, the first law is the Constitution, which gives the foundation for it. You see, the Constitution first gives the Fundamental Human Rights Chapter and Section 42, which talks about non-discrimination and other sections. Then also went further to establish the VAP Act, that is the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015.
Yeah.
And went further to create the Criminal Code and the Penal Code and the Child Rights Act. All these laws talks in details about it, especially the VAP Act. The VAP Act is the main law that talks about violence against persons, which is GBV, we call it.
So it is an offense that people commit against people based on their gender.
Based on their gender.
So does that is it only applicable to women as a gender?
No.
Or what does the law particularly describe what gender is in this circumstance?
You see, the law describes gender as, it describes all gender. It doesn't matter whether it's a female or a male, because both genders have their both genders can be violated. So the VAP Act has gone further to elaborate on what gender means, which that's why when it said it did not define it as female or male, it said individual or persons.
Or persons.
So from even
the word individual or persons,
from even the Verb
that
Act, you know that it's saying persons. It's not giving a particular part of gender. So it's all genders. It covers all genders.
So it can be the violence that is committed against an individual, whether as a male or as a female,
yes.
but that is directed to the person because of the person's gender,
yes,
irrespective of whether the person is male or female. So what are the rights of victims who are victims of the perpetration of this particular gender offense?
Well, from my experience, we actually call them survivors, not victims, because you know when you're dealing with them and you call them victims, psychologically it affects them also. So the survivors here. Sorry, can you come back in with your question?
Yeah. Okay, I'm asking, what does the law provide as the rights?
Right.
Yes, of these survivors. You know, where people find themselves as not victims per se,
survivors,
but people who have gone through the experience and have also survived the experience. What is the safeguard that the law provides for them?
Well, under the Verb Act, there are institutions who are in charge. Especially the Verb Act has given a special provision for NAPTIP to take such kind of cases. There's a special provision for that particular thing. Then also the police.
NAPTIP is the National
Agency for
the
traffic and NAPTIP for protection and trafficking in persons. So NAPTIP deals with a whole lot that has to do with violence, because their definition it's like very, very wide, and I don't think we can finish that today. So because they have like, when I've been working with them, and when you even read their pamphlets, they have like more than 50 kind of violence that they and it covers the psychological, the physical, the sexual, all kind of violence. It covers it. NAPTIP is also in charge of like prosecuting, for arresting, for detaining, for going further to even seek for protection for those survivors. So NAPTIP is one of the main places to first go to. Then the police can come in, because police have a very wide jurisprudence on almost every criminal cases, and you find out that this is a criminal case we are talking about. But why I emphasized on NAPTIP is because of the special provision that the Verb Act gives to it. That's why I emphasize on it, and I've worked with them. I'm not saying that don't go to the police, but these are people that this is their main job, their core mandate.
Yes.
Unlike the police, they have a vast jurisdiction on all cases.
So the powers to implement the Verb Act is actually vested in
more on NAPTIP.
Okay, more on NAPTIP.
More on NAPTIP.
Okay.
So then for survivors that find themselves in this situation, they can reach out to NAPTIP, they can reach out to NGOs like FIDA and so many NGOs that tackle this kind of, and other organizations that handle this kind of situations. Because, you know, there are many organizations that what they do is just to see how they can help those survivors, because it's a very big issue that we're talking about.
So if I see myself, well, I wouldn't say a victim.
God forbid.
Yes, God forbid. But if I see myself experiencing this, or I see another person experiencing such violence,
what are the first steps?
Yes, what are those initial steps that I need to take immediately?
Okay, first,
protect either myself, or to protect the person, or to even advise another person to take action.
Okay, first and foremost, for a survivor, the survivor needs a lawyer to be guided, because a lawyer does a whole lot for you. Whether you're going to the police or NAPTIP, the lawyer will be there for you throughout, because sometimes these cases end up in court. You know, your lawyer needs to be there. He needs to guide you. He needs to help you. He knows what stage to take. Then also, I think the first thing to do, depending on what actually the type of violence that happened, is, they have hotlines that you can call, especially when it has to do with rape or assaults or battery.
Oh, the police have a hotline?
The police and NAPTIP, they do have hotlines.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't really have it here of heart, but I know they do have hotlines for that, because even the police recently, I know they have a special response unit that is regarding the GBV. They have a special unit for that. And also the NAPTIP have a special that whenever you call, they are always on standby for you, because there's a rapid response unit in regards to that. So they have that too. Then the first step you're supposed to take is to go and check your medical well-being. That is the survivor here. You should go and check, because that is the first stage to see how far, depending on the kind of violence.
Violation.
For instance, if it's rape, that is where you even get to know whether the rape has been committed or not, and then you get the documentation and evidence of it. Then most times when these things happen, it's not planned. So sometimes you find out the problem you have is gathering some documentary evidence. Sometimes it might be video, it might be the audio to back up, because even when you go to court, you bear giving an allegation. If you don't have
evidence
to back it up, it doesn't hold water. He who asserts must prove. So you find out that you have to have those evidences. So one of the evidence, the documentary evidence you have, is on the medical aspect, if really this has really happened or not. So sometimes even when you report to NAPTIP or you report to the police, they have, I think the last rape case I did of a small girl of 6 years, there is the NAPTIP officer said we have to go to a particular hospital that is in charge of that kind of treatment. I think in Barr here. He said that's what they do. They check whether it's, and then there will be a report to them that will be back to them, and that is what they will use first before continuing investigation, because it's going to be part of things they will gather. So you
cannot bring your own independent investigation or independent report from any hospital?
Well, even if you bring, they will still want to do their own, because it's easy for you to say it's easy for a survivor to say I was raped, and everybody has his own intention. You find that somebody can just do it to defame another person. So it's their work to also make sure that whoever they are going to prosecute had really committed that offense before they go forward. Because
but it is their duty to carry out the investigation.
Yes.
So as part of what they do is they also investigate where there are reports.
Yeah, where there are reports, yes.
So they investigate.
They investigate it thoroughly. So they even do their own medical checkups. Like when you go to the police, they will tell you that they have police and hospitals that do those medical tests, and they'll get the report back and they'll proceed with their investigation.
So you have talked about having a lawyer.
Yeah.
And we know that it's expensive to have a lawyer. So in such circumstance, where a person is unable to secure the service
of a lawyer
to help them in whatever advice or even the following up on such cases, how do individuals who are unable to get the service of a lawyer?
Well, that is why I said something about FIDA. FIDA handles such kind of cases too. And then we have the legal aid. The legal aid coming here to help people that are indigents that can't prosecute cases of theirs. So you have NGOs. There's so many that does that. Then I think in a situation whereby you don't have a lawyer, sometimes you can directly go to NAPTIP. NAPTIP will take your case without taking a dime from you.
Okay.
They will proceed and do all what is needed. You understand? Because I know they have a legal department that advise them and all that. They have a very fantastic structure.
So can you also report at the Human Rights Commission, for instance?
Well, I think you can, but the thing is, I've never done that before. But I think you can, because you see, the Constitution has already established
the Human Rights Commission to protect people's rights.
So yes, you can. So I think where they think they need to involve another agency, law enforcement, they will definitely do that. Okay,
so there is this common issue between a husband and a wife, and I want to does the law consider that a husband can rape his wife under the Nigerian law?
Yeah, under VAP Act, it's explicit there. Under rape, The rape, marital rape is part of it. That is spousal rape. Yes, VAP Act has provided for that. So yes,
That's a husband
can rape his wife. It's being recognized under VAP Act.
So a woman can actually make a report that her husband
yes, she
actually
can.
raped
She
her.
can.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll go for a short break. And when we come back, this discussion continue. Welcome back. So, Barrister, you talked about a report at the police, report at the NAPTIP. So if, for instance, a survivor makes a report at the police and the necessary action is not taken, you have expected that an expedited action will be taken to gather information, to gather the reports. Because, for instance, in issues of rape, it's easily to do away with the evidence. So in such circumstance, what will the survivor do?
Okay. Well, the police has a complaint unit, and I think recently we're having discussions with some police officers. I'm not really sure about that fact, but they said there is a particular unit that deals with this particular issue of GBV.
Yes, I know most police stations now have a gender unit.
Yes.
So you can make reports in the gender unit.
Yes.
But you make a report
but
and there is no...
That's what I'm trying to lay a foundation. So in a situation whereby they don't, you can write a complaint to the Police Service Commission, because the Police Service Commission is in charge of their discipline, their promotion and everything. So definitely they will take they will take the necessary action. Then you can also talk to a superior officer. Maybe if you're thinking that maybe it will take time before it will process up and all that, you know how the procedure sometimes can take time also. So you can talk to a superior officer that you know can like come in and make fast track these kind of things. Then also you can involve organizations that can put pressure on them to do the needful.
Okay, so there is this one that is not physical. We're talking about psychological and emotional abuse. And it is very common.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, because it is physical, it is impossible to know that this person is actually going through such kind of experiences. So, but what does the law provide regarding psychological and emotional abuse? Can somebody make a report? Is there a legal safeguard regarding such? And then how does one go about doing it?
Like if you remember from the get-go when you said, what is gender violence?
Yes.
Gender violence has covered everything, including psychological and emotional. So it's definitely a crime to psychologically abuse a person. And the law, that is the VAP Act again, which is the main law that is talking about this, has made provisions on how you can go about it, because it has shown you that this is a criminal offense. So definitely you can file a petition against the person, but you know definitely there must be a medical report reporting to the fact of your psychological well-being and how it went about. So I think that is where you start from the medical aspect of it. You have to have a medical report that you use,
that the person is going through psychological
and you have to have that report that will link it to that particular incidences. For instance, let me use a case study of a husband and a wife. Maybe the husband or the wife, one of them is psychologically abusing or emotionally abusing one. So any of them that is going to take the matter further should have a psychologist that has given him or her a verified medical report stating that this and this and the incidences. Maybe, you know, because definitely if spouse is marital, the psychologist must have talked to the other partner to understand where the problem is coming from, and that is how the psychologist will be able to like come to the conclusion on how this is the person that is causing this issue or not. So
okay, so and I also want to ask, for how long can somebody still get justice after a particular incident has happened? will it be said that you have slept over your rights, and as such, this particular violation can no longer be enforced? Is there a time limit within which someone must take action, or the person is left with no remedy to the circumstance?
Okay, the statute of limitation varies depending on the particular kind of violence that was committed. So I'm not going to go into specific, but I think the right advice here is immediately it happens, try and get justice, because the chances of you getting justice is better. Because, for instance, if it's rape, just like how we were discussing earlier, you said the evidence might clean up,
be washed
away and all that.
Over
so
time.
You see, over time you might not have anything to present. And these documentary evidence are so important that if you don't have them, your case might not really hold water wherever you go. So, and it might take time, and it will be more injurious to you. So I think it's best to just do it fast. Immediately it happens, just take your action immediately.
So where people have been falsely accused of, for instance, because gender violence, this is a serious issue.
Yeah.
A husband accuses his wife, or a wife accuses her husband,
or
children
accuses a particular person.
Yes. So are there some consequences for people who falsely accuse other people of committing these offenses, and then it turns out not to be true?
Yes, there are. You see, because making false accusation is defamatory. So defamation on its own, it's a crime on its own. And again, whether it's the police or NAPTIP or any law enforcement, you've made them to waste their resources, waste their time on you. You see, this will go a long way in because if it's not being addressed, you find out that people will come up with so much fake allegations. So definitely, you or any other person can be a scapegoat to that. So it's better not to even do any fake. Be sure of what you're going to do, because definitely there is going to be a consequence.
So at the end of the day, the person who falsely accused another person can also be prosecuted
definitely
for false allegation or defamation. Yes, at the end of the day. So it's important that you are sure that
whatever information you're giving is legit.
And he who
asserts must prove.
Thank you very much, Barrister Rabiah, for sharing this insightful insights with us.
Thank you very much, Ma. Yes. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. You're still watching Your Right on Trust TV. Thank you, Barrister Rabiah, for sharing this invaluable insights. As you have heard, gender-based violence and sexual offenses are not private matters. They are crimes. You have the right to be safe. You have the right to be heard. You have the right to get justice. Don't stay silent. Speak up, get help, and know that your right is protected and guaranteed by law. Until next time, I'm Hauwa Usman, and this is Your Right on Trust TV.